Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really digging into something fascinating. How can a country aim for high-tech development by, well, making soap?
Yeah, we're looking at Botswana's strategy. Our sources show they're trying to shift their whole economy away from diamonds, and they're doing it with this really specific training project, the manufacturing school, focused just on cleaning products and plastics. And we're comparing that to a big historical example, Turkey's first five-year industrial plan back in the 1930s. So our mission really is to figure out if this focus on, everyday stuff can actually be the key to building a serious national industrial base.
Absolutely. And for Botswana, this isn't just theory. They've got this goal, Vision 2036. They want to become a high-income country.
Which is a huge leap.
It really is. And it fundamentally means they have to diversify away from diamonds. They need other economic engines.
Okay, so let's ground this in the numbers first. Why these specific products? Cleaning supplies and plastics. What's the trade situation look like? Well, it reveals a pretty big vulnerability, not just for Botswana, but for the whole continent, actually.
How big are we talking?
Globally, the plastics market, that's trade code HS39, it's massive. Over $722 billion in imports in 2023. But Africa's deficit in plastics, over $20 billion.
$20 billion leaving the continent just for plastic.
Exactly. And then cleaning products, HS34, so soaps, detergents. Africa's trade deficit there was over $1.8 billion last year. Billions spent on stuff that's often, mostly water and basic chemicals.
Okay, continent-wide, it's huge. But zoom in on Botswana. You said the numbers get shocking.
They really do, especially for cleaning products. In 2023, Botswana's deficit just for HS34 was about $83.6 million.
Okay, still a big number for a specific category.
But here's the kicker, the import-export coverage ratio.
Ah, right. Remind us what that tells you.
Basically, it's your export value divided by your import value for that same category. It asks, can your own sales in this sector pay for what you're buying from abroad?
And for Botswana's cleaning products?
In 2023, just 1.04%.
1.04%. Wait.
Yep. Think about it. For every dollar they spend importing soap or detergent, they only earn back about a single penny selling their own.
So they make almost none of it themselves. They're importing practically everything.
Virtually all of it. It's near total reliance for absolute necessities.
That's staggering. And plastics, better, I hope.
A bit better, but still not great. Plastics, HS39, that's packaging, pipes, all that. The deficit was $123.4 million in 2023. The coverage ratio there was 22.04%.
22%, so still importing far more than they export.
Definitely. It signals that core foundational industries just aren't there. I mean, if you're importing almost all your soap and the bottles it comes in, items that aren't exactly rocket science to make, it points to a big gap in your basic industrial capacity.
Okay, so the need is clear. Huge deficits. But the theory we're exploring is that making these things isn't just about saving import dollars. It's supposed to. What? Force other skills to develop. How does making dish soap lead to, advanced manufacturing?
The sources talk about this idea of woven industrialization.
Woven industrialization. Okay.
The idea is you can't just jump to complex stuff like making tractors or advanced electronics. You need to build the underlying fabric first. You need a strong foundational industry, a core sector, that forces you to learn other essential skills along the way.
And the argument is that cleaning products are that perfect starting thread. Why them specifically, beyond just, everyone needing soap?
Because making them, even at a basic level, immediately triggers demand and development in several other high-value sectors. It acts like a synergy motor.
Okay, a synergy motor. What's the first connection?
First up is chemistry. Right away, to make decent detergents, you need to understand surfactants, enzymes, fragrances. That drives R&D. It pushes your chemical engineering skills, builds labs, maybe even gets you thinking about greener, bio-based chemicals, which is pretty advanced stuff.
Okay, makes sense. Better soap needs better chemistry. What next?
Then, like you said earlier, you need containers, plastics.
Right, the bottles.
And it's not just any plastic. You need specific types, like blow molding for the big detergent jugs, and really precise injection molding for things like spray triggers or complex caps. This forces investment in polymer science, HDPE, PET, and pushes you to get good at high-speed, efficient plastic production.
So suddenly your soap factory is driving material science and advanced plastics manufacturing.
Okay.
Interesting. What else gets pulled in?
Machinery and automation. You can't fill and cap millions of bottles by hand efficiently. You need automated lines, filling, capping, labeling, packing.
Yeah. Standard factory automation.
Yes. But crucially, think about making the molds for those plastic bottles and caps. That requires high-precision CNC machining, computer numerical control. That investment boosts your machine tools sector, your metalworking skills. And those are the absolute bedrock skills you need later if you want to make, say, parts for agricultural machinery or anything complex.
Ah, I see. So the bottle mold is the gateway to more complex machining. That's clever. And there was a fourth layer.
Yes, the circular economy. The moment you start churning out lots of plastic packaging locally, you create a local plastic waste problem.
Right. More bottles made means more bottles thrown away.
Exactly. So it forces the issue. You have to improve your recycling systems, collection, sorting, processing. It drives innovation in waste management, maybe even new business models around reusing or refilling. It makes the whole system more sustainable by necessity.
Wow. Okay, so it really does sound like a deliberate step-by-step chain reaction. Which brings us to how Botswana is actually doing this. It's not just about funding a factory, is it? It's this school.
Right, this manufacturing school, or İmlet Ukulu in Turkish, interestingly. It's built around open technical knowledge transfer, specifically for plastics and cleaning products.
Yeah.
And the key is how hands-on it is.
So less classroom, more factory floor.
Pretty much. Phase 1 is theory, sure, with experienced people, then tests. But phase 2, if you pass, you're in for a week of intensive practical training where you are literally working as a worker on the line, making commercial-grade products.
Making the actual soap and bottles we were just talking.
Exactly. Then phase 3 is about learning the sales and distribution side.
Okay, practical, hands-on. But you mentioned something about it being self-funding. How does that work?
Well, this is the really ambitious part. The plan is for the school to finance itself by selling the very products the students make during that practical phase 2 training.
Wait, really? Sell trainee-made bleach and surface cleaner to pay for the trainers, the materials, maybe even that CNC machine for the molds?
That's the idea. And it sounds bold, but remember that in-court coverage ratio, 1.04%.
Whack the import almost everything.
So the thinking is the domestic demand is so high and current local supplies so low that even relatively small-scale production from the school, if the quality is decent, could find a market and help cover costs.
Huh. Okay, that adds another layer. And the goal isn't just churn out workers.
No, the source emphasizes creating Sanai Girishimchisi industrial entrepreneurs, people who graduate with deep practical knowledge and might start their own small factories. Or they become highly skilled workers, trainers, or managers who can really elevate the whole sector. It's about spreading the capability.
It's like seeding an ecosystem, not just building one big plant. Okay, this strategy, this state-led focus on basic goods to force industrial learning. You said there's a historical parallel.
A really strong one. Turkey's first 5-year industrial plan from 1934 to 1938.
Okay, set the scene. Why do they do this?
Well, this was right after the Great Depression hit hard in 1929. The global economy was shattered. Turkey's government, under Ataturk, realized that relying on private companies alone wasn't going to cut it for rapid industrialization or economic independence. So they pivoted to what they called moderate statism, devletlik. The state had to take the lead.
And how did they approach it? Similar focus?
Very similar in principle. It wasn't a vague macro plan. It was highly sectoral. They targeted industries that could use domestic raw materials to replace imports for things people actually needed. Import Substitution 101.
But so were Turkey's cleaning products and plastics back then.
Look at the investment breakdown. Textiles got almost half the money, 49.9%. People needing clothes. Mining got about 27%. They needed coal and minerals. Cellulose and paper got 12%. Basic materials.
Foundational stuff, things you absolutely need.
Exactly. And the state didn't just hope it would happen. They created powerful state-owned enterprises to execute the plan. Summerbank was set up specifically as the center headquarters of the industrial movement for many industries. Edibank handled mining and energy.
Did it work? Was it successful? I know these big state plans can sometimes go over budget.
Oh, it definitely went over budget. They spent more than double what was planned, about 100 million Turkish lira instead of 44 million. But despite that, yes, it was considered a major success. It established crucial factories, the Nazilli Textile Factory, the Karabük Iron and Steel Works, the İzmit Paper Factory. These became pillars of Turkish industry for decades.
And the impact on the wider economy, did it actually move the needle?
Significantly.
Yeah.
Turkey had run trade deficits pretty much constantly from 1923 to 1929. After the plan kicked in, they ran trade surpluses from 1930 right through to 1937.
Wow, a complete reversal.
And maybe even more importantly, per capita income saw a big jump. It went from around $47.50 in 1923 to nearly $89 by 1938. That works out to an average annual growth rate of about 8% during that intense industrialization period.
8% annual growth, driven by state investment in textiles and steel. That's a powerful validation for this step-by-step approach.
It really demonstrates that this kind of focused, state-guided push into foundational, necessity-driven industries can work and can drive rapid development.
So bringing it back to Botswana today, they seem to be following a similar playbook, almost industrializing through the back door, you could say, using everyday consumer needs as the lever.
And doing it with this very specific educational hands-on approach we discussed.
And this all fits into the bigger picture in Africa too, right, with AfCFTA.
Absolutely. Botswana is part of the African Continental Free Trade Area. The whole point of AfCFTA is to create this huge single market, 1.4 billion people. Tariffs between African countries are being phased out.
So if you don't have strong local manufacturing before those tariffs disappear,
You'll just be flooded with imports from other African countries that did build that capacity. So building up local production of staples like cleaning products and packaging now is crucial preparation. It gets them ready to compete and maybe even export within that huge new market when it fully opens up.
okay, so wrapping this up, what's the key takeaway for you listening to this? Our sources strongly suggest this focus on cleaning products and plastics in Botswana isn't just random. It's a calculated first step. It's designed, almost forced, to build those underlying capabilities, the chemistry, the advanced plastics, the precision machining, the recycling infrastructure that they believe they'll need for more complex industries later on.
Yeah, the idea seems to be that mastering the bottle of bleach today is the necessary homework before you can tackle, say, building irrigation pumps or food processing equipment tomorrow.
Which leaves us with a really interesting question, doesn't it? Considering how massive the global plastics market is and how urgent the need for a circular economy has become, is this still the best path? Can making simple, everyday necessities in 2025 truly be the most practical way to build the high-tech, high-income future Botswana envisions? Or has the world changed too much since Turkey did it in the 1930s?
It makes you wonder if that historical window for patient, step-by-step industrialization, starting with the basics, is still truly open.
Or maybe the fundamental human need for things like clean clothes and safe packaging just remains the most reliable engine we have for driving economic complexity, even now. Definitely something to ponder next time you're in the supermarket aisle.